several nights, and I don't like it.
I lived there for a couple of days without any facilities.
Even without visiting it, I was ready to recommend it to my tourists and to my friends.
That's the toilet museum. It sounds funny.
Hey there, I'm Emgris, I'm from Russia, and sorry for my a bit shaggy view. I've been sleeping in a tent for several nights, and I don't like it. I really dislike being in a camp, and somehow I'm in a one right now. As well as not having 24-hour access to the warm shower and a warm, comfy bed. And here I am in the camp, sleeping in a tent, in a sleeping bag that looks a little bit like, you know, that black plastic bag where they put corpses in, like a smiling bag from Twin Peaks. Yeah, I really don't like camping.
Я сделал. Ну, так себе на самом деле сделал, но ладно, сойдет.
Somehow a lot of people find it amusing and exciting to live in a camp. The whole touristic vibe and type of tourists who just take a tent, take a sleeping bag, put them in a giant backpack and just go somewhere into the wild and spend nights there cooking on the fire and experiencing that wilderness, I guess. Sometimes they enjoy also some festival or some kind of, you know, there is this kind of festivals where people sing to the guitar and having campfire and like not just like private parties, but just a huge festival. They sing very specific type of songs, and in Russia it's called bardovskaya pesnya, like bard. And that was a pretty popular thing like in the 90s, 80s. Right now it's not that popular. Still they do have those festivals and they do spend time like this, and that's not to my liking, but I can understand this whole atmosphere.
I think that there are right now three types of camps. First of all is the most wild one, is the most unorganized one. Like when you just grab a tent, grab a sleeping bag and go to the forest or go to the woods or go to some riverbank and just put up a tent and live there for a couple of days without any facilities. Another type of camp is something like this, where you put a tent but still you have some kind of facilities, like you have a hot shower, although there are just 3 time slots a day because it needs time to heat up, but like it's better than nothing. Also you have some kind of cafe, you have a canteen and several toilets. That is also pretty important. And electricity. Although again, it's kind of a problem here because when it's more than 200 people at one place, it takes ages to charge up a phone or a power bank. But again, still. And the third one is called glamping. It's like VIP camping or a very luxurious camping. It's when you have a cabin, but it's more like a hotel, but just with the appearance of the tent or a cabin. You have all the facilities, you have very nice interior, you have really great Instagram pictures from there, but it's not like the camping as it is. Although I would like to try this because it's getting really popular nowadays.
In case you're wondering what are the entertainments here, I will tell you, and if you are not wondering, then I will tell you anyway, so hang on. Of course, if we're talking about some camping near the riverside, you've got plenty of activities there. These days, wakeboarding is a real popular thing, but also you have SUP surfing, you have just windsurfing and a lot of other activities. And in some places, you can just make an activity out of nothing. Like this pro park that is a lot of fun for people, but it takes just several ropes and a helmet. Right now I'm going to the place that I actually found about quite recently, about a month ago, but even without visiting it, I was ready to recommend it to my tourists and to my friends, just because by the concept of it, I thought that it's amazing and it's interesting for the foreigners and for the Russians themselves. Right now I'm going there and I was not expecting that, so I'll try to show you everything that I will see and learn there, and stay tuned. Right now I'm in the village Tygydym. I have no idea how you're going to pronounce this in English, but this is a really exciting place. So basically they just built a Russian historical village using all materials, all methods, like everything that they could find out, and even using some really old stuff. Now you can just come here and visit it and see for yourself how people lived, what they did in their everyday life, and how it actually looked like. That's kind of exciting. And what I personally admire, although you might not agree with me, is that this village is actually family business, and it's not sponsored by the government of any kind. So people just decided to make this thing to show people how it works, and they're making a business out of it. I mean, and they've got lots of tourists coming from like this region, coming from Moscow, St Petersburg, even coming from abroad. And you can see how much work was put into this, and you can see how they actually love this place. And I took several pictures of them. I will show you. They look just adorable. I really like it here. And I will give you the link to their website so you can check them out and maybe visit them yourself, or you can ask me and I will tell you how you can get here. That's how they actually made soap. So basically you put here the liquid that will be soap later, and then you have this like ballast, heavy thing to just hang this bowl on the stick, and then you can actually like make it hotter or less hot by just moving the logs out of this thing, so that the bowl will hang lower or higher. That's kind of genius.
Yeah, buddy, I totally understand your mood.
That's, as you can see, it's called холодник. It's kind of a fridge when there was no fridge. Let's check it out. Look at the details. No metal things and no modern nails. That looks great.
У меня ничего нет. Согласна.
This whole village was in another place and they had to move it, and I guess that's why they have all the logs being numbered, so that they could just reassemble the whole house. The medieval games and amusement park.
Чего вы так переполошились?
Here you can actually learn a lot of riddles, tales, and some of them are historical, some of them they just invent here, but nevertheless it's traditional Russian fairy tales, so I think it might be interesting.
Да, вот так вот потихонечку. Вот. Ну, вот это если вот какая-то современная оно. Лавка.
That's the toilet museum. It sounds funny, but here you can see several objects that are old, that are traditional, and that people really used to use. Like the soap that the girl is washing her hands with, that's the soap that was made on one of the parts of the museum that I've shown you before. The girl is using the water dispenser. In Russian it's called рукомойник, so the thing to wash your hands. And that's the old-fashioned one, but I remember that in my childhood we had this kind of thing in our dacha, and it's quite helpful when you don't have the central water system.
Just to summarize everything that I've seen here, I could say that places like this are a real treasure, and that's just one of the examples. There are appearing more and more places like this in Russia, and I would absolutely recommend you visiting them. Sometimes it would take you a lot of hours to get to them, but it makes them special, you know. I mean, the nature here is absolutely wonderful. And have you seen the sky? I was trying to take a picture of it, and of course I couldn't because I don't have a professional camera with me, but just believe me, you can see the Milky Way, you can see all the stars, you can see Mars, you can see Venus. I've never seen a sky like this. So yeah, I do recommend. Passing a river clock, I guess. I'm not sure how it's called in English. I remember how excited I was when I first saw this being a child, and you know, it still amazes me. I mean, how they raise the level of the whole river and then just let the ships pass. That's great. So this was actually a river transport that was really popular during the Soviet times. That's called the Meteor. I found out that not all of even Russians know about it. So it used to be a really popular way of transportation. There used to be a lot of meteors on lots of rivers, especially on the Volga River. And it was pretty fast, so you could just travel from one place to another by river. That is, first of all, that's cool. And second of all, that's a really nice and fast way to just get from one city to another, if they're on the Volga River. And now there are not many of them, and even the ones that are still being used are actually in a pretty bad condition, and they are not as fast as they used to be, and they're not environmentally friendly. So this kind of transportation is dying in Russian regions. That is pretty sad, because I personally love it, and I think it's a great change from just buses and cars. But I think it's not profitable, and that's the main reason why the whole system is basically dying right now. So here we are in Yaroslavl. I just took a bus trip, and I noticed in the bus that they have this sign telling that you can pay with your card, and actually in Russian cities you're usually used to paying with cash because they don't accept any kind of credit card, debit card or Apple Pay. But here I went to the conductor and asked her whether I can pay with my phone, meaning that I want to pay with Apple Pay. She looked at me with a smile and looking at me like I am out of some kind of village, and she handed me over this machine. So I paid with my card, and yeah, so Yaroslavl is also in the 21st century. I couldn't even imagine how great it is to just sit in a cafe after 3 days in a camp. You just can sip a cup of coffee with mint syrup and whipped cream, then have half a kilo of mussels with white wine. It's so great. Although I look the way that I think the waitress was doubting whether I can pay for this meal or not, but she seemed to be glad when I finally paid for it. But I don't mind, because sitting for a couple of hours in a warm and cozy armchair with some dimmed light and a glass of white wine, I really miss that. And I really like civilization and big cities. Actually, it's my second time here, and I think that I would visit it again because I like walking here and just wandering around. I see a lot of places that I want to visit, like cafes, coffee shops, even cheese making factories. And also there are a lot of places to see outside Yaroslavl, like in the Yaroslavl region. Some villages that are being restored and rebuilt, some natural beauties. So like lots of history and lots of really exciting stuff. I really wanted to visit the belfry in this Kremlin, in the Yaroslavl Kremlin, but they don't have any tickets available, and I guess that's because of this concert or festival. And I didn't know this thing even existed when those people compete and show their skills in chiming bells. But listen. Sorry guys, I mispronounced. It's belfry, of course. Sorry. I actually totally recommend Yaroslavl for visiting. And I think it's one of the best cities around Moscow, like the ones that are capitals of their own regions. And this one is so cozy and in such a good state. Like, look at this architecture. It's renewed, it's nice and not ruined, and there are a lot of cafes. You can really have a nice time here. So, yeah, like, have you got any questions about Russia? Leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and my other social media, like in my stories I showed a lot of things going on here. See ya!